Welcome. Past, present, and future walked into a bar. It was tense. Okay, we'll come up with better jokes. We're discussing here the concept of desire and really evoking Hashem's desire to be king. We explained that when Hashem created the world, initially, nobody earned it, no one asked for it, there was no reason to do it. Hashem did it just because he wanted to. Or as Chassidus explains, it's a taiva, when a taiva frekt man nicht kin kashes. Sometimes a person really wants something, you have like this strong yearning for something, a desire. It's not explainable. You could try to make up stories of why you're doing it and why it's you're rationalizing it so you don't sound like a complete idiot. But really deep down, if you peel away the layers of what you're saying, of why you're doing it, they're not good enough reasons. You're doing it because you want it. Hashem created the world because that's what he wanted to do. Now, once he did it undeservingly to us, out of his kindness, he set it up in a way that going forward we do have to earn it. Why do we deserve the world, for the world to exist? For us to exist and so on. And interestingly, every Rosh Hashanah, bringing from Kabbalah, we have a new energy, a new chayas, a new source of life that comes into the world to sustain it. The year before, last year's energy is still last year, and we have to get a new chayas. And the night of Rosh Hashanah, the world is like in limbo. Last year's chayas is gone, New Year's vitality and energy source is not here yet. And the way that it comes here is through blowing shofar, and through a commitment, which is really what shofar expresses, is a commitment to have Hashem as our king, and this evokes Hashem's desire to be our king. So the theme of the day is crown Hashem as your king, in order that he should have this desire to continue sustaining the world. Now, why should there not be a desire to be king? Because it's possible that throughout the past year, a person behaved in ways that expressed his lack of accepting Hashem as king. It's called prikas el, throwing off the yoke. Why should I be Jewish? Or why do I have to follow the Torah mitzvahs? Or why do I have to be so restricted? Instead of a dedication that says, Hashem, what do you want? Anything I'm doing, just tell me what. I'll even find out what and how. A person may have said throughout the year that I'm not interested in this thing. It's too much of a nuisance. And it's not necessarily an action. It could have been in words, based on what I was saying. I expressed it. And even in thought. My thoughts weren't the way they're supposed to be. Because of that, now we have a question. Do you want me to be your king or not? So I have to do something to express that. And really, it's a commitment inside. That's why we really have to correct this common misconception that a big part of tshuva, people think, is feeling bad and bitter and depressed, God forbid, and very sad, and kind of the more you hit yourself and the harder you are on yourself and the more guilty you feel, somehow that's better. Now, it's true that tshuva requires regret, like true remorse for the past, confession to Hashem, which is vidui, and resolve for the future. But really, the main thing here is a decision that going forward, I'm going to be different. Going forward, I'm not the same person as I was before. Or in other words, I'm accepting Hashem as king, I'm his subject. So what we're trying to do in Rosh Hashanah is to bring out that desire. Now the problem is that to correct a sin, a transgression, something that I did wrong, it's hard, but it's understandable how the mechanism works. If you spill dirt onto something, you take a mop or a rag, a shmata, and you clean it off. Tshuva is exactly that. You're cleaning up past mistakes. You're cleaning up stains that are a result of negative things that I may have done. And we clean it off. Because every transgression, every avera, every sin causes a blemish on the neshama, causes some kind of issue, dirt on the nefesh. Tshuva removes it. However, we have other mitzvahs, other categories, and these are mitzvahs that I did not do anything wrong. I just missed an opportunity. I didn't shake lulav and esrog on a certain day of Sukkot. There's no stain on my neshama for not doing it. I just lack a certain light. How do you gain back that light, that energy, if it's not Sukkot today? Forget punishment. Hashem is going to forgive him. He's never going to do it again. He decided this year's going to be careful. Everything's fine. But you still didn't miss. You still didn't make up for what you missed. And that's a much more difficult thing to understand. So we answered that and we said that when a person evokes a deep desire from Hashem, the desire is so deep that it doesn't get stuck with past, present, and future. In other words, the whole reason why you can't achieve what light and energy and holiness the mitzvah gives you is because of time. Right? Sukkot was last year. Sukkot this year is going to be a new year. You can't make up for last year's Sukkot. But that's only if you're in the present and future realities. But if you could go to the past, and that's what Hashem is not bound by past, present, and future is all the same, there's no issue there. He could fill in what you could only fill in on a certain day. He could fill it in today as well. It's not a problem. So, but how do you evoke that level of desire? And the answer is that it comes from our own desire. If we dig deep enough, and we have a strong enough desire, it awakens, so to speak, a desire within Hashem to want us. And that desire, Ratzein Hashem or Ratzein Ha'elyon, is what does it. And that's why in Aseres Meitzshuva we say the capital of Tilim, Shir Amalis Mima'amakim. Let's see, before Yishtabach, and before Baruch Hu, actually, after Yishtabach, we always say this for 10 days, including Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And one of the words there, Mima'amakim, means from the depths, but plural, because there are two levels of depths. And it's the deeper level, when you go really deep, that's where the evoking Hashem's desire comes from, because it is so sincere, it's very, very real.
What's the more shallow level?
It's a basic external desire. I want to do it. It's like in a human being, you have a lot of things that you want to do, but it's external. It's not so deep to you. There's studies that when a person wants something really, really strong and really deeply, he's able to accomplish things that he otherwise couldn't do. Literally, it goes so deep, it just breaks through certain normal obstacles. It's not bound by certain limitations. Now, I don't just mean as an exaggeration. A person, if you want to, you won't be lazy. If you want to, you'll be disciplined. It's more than that. It's so deep that it almost changes your makeup, your character, things that you thought are never possible. That's not the basic level of desire. That's a very, very deep desire, which translates into a deep drive and a commitment and so on. When a Yid feels very, very deeply, we brought a story of Eliezer ben Dordaya who passed away out of that yearning. He felt that he's like totally gone. Now, no one has to pass away to have this desire. It just shows that it's so deep by this person. Now, this Ratzain, and this is the next section of the Maimer, gets revealed on Rosh Hashanah and the 10 days of Tshuva. There's something about the time that reveals certain levels. Just like in Elul, the month that we're in now, the last month of the year, we say there's a revelation of Hashem's rachamim. Hashem's compassion is revealed. Okay, anytime you daven to Hashem, He'll answer. And you could always ask Hashem, and any time of the year you could ask for forgiveness. There's no issue there. However, there are times that are much more prone for Hashem's compassion. And the whole month of Elul is that time. There's a revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy. It's 13 levels of Hashem's compassion, which basically say, even though you messed up and I told you not to, or in the case of the Chet HaEgel, the golden calf, even though it was just several weeks ago that you heard from my own mouth, so to speak, but Hashem says, don't worship idols. And you experienced, you didn't read it in a book, you weren't told it by your ancestors, you didn't, learn it. You saw literally how I took you out of Mitzrayim. I saved you, I helped you, and now you go and you worship idols. And still Hashem forgave us. Because Moshe Rabbeinu evoked those 13 levels of compassion. During the month of Elul, those 13 levels are revealed. Right? Moshe had to evoke it, awaken it. It's here. Similarly, when we get to Tishrei, in the first 10 days, which are the 10 days of Tshuva, this desire is very open. The desire that Hashem has for us to sustain the world, which is good news. But we still have to plug into it. And the way we plug into it is to reveal our deep desire. It's a decision. A person says, I want Hashem. I'm going to crown Hashem as king. I'm going to do what he wants. There's a fascinating letter from the Rebbe where someone in Israel, wrote to the Rebbe questions that he has, fundamental questions about Yiddishkeit and why do I have to listen? And it's not very clear what his questions to the Rebbe was. You only see the Rebbe's answer to him. However, the Rebbe tells him that, first of all, what you write, this topic it's not so easy to write it, to respond to you in a letter. But it's not a problem because you have so many people around you that you could ask. And ask them your questions, and rabbis and so on, and they'll explain it to you. In addition, the Rebbe tells him that Hashem is the ultimate good. And if he's telling you to do something, it's for your good. And even if sometimes it feels like what he's demanding from you, Torah and mitzvahs, are very difficult. So number one, you should know you're only going to get benefit as a result. And number two, Hashem doesn't demand from you more than you could handle. So if you think it's so hard to do, you should know that he's giving you what it takes to do it. And the challenge that you have, in other words, the temptation and the difficulty that you have to control, is here only to give you greater good. As a result of overcoming that obstacle, you really, really wanted to do it, and you didn't because Hashem said so, it gives you something tremendous. So it's a decision. A person says, I am doing what Hashem wants. I'm committed to this coming year to accept him as my king. I want him. And despite what happened in the past, Hashem says, I want you too. And I'm going to sustain the world and a new energy and so on. That's why the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, when there's the switch, so to speak, of last year's energy to this year's energy, is so important. People don't, great Hasidim and great Rebbes wouldn't speak any idle talk the whole night of Rosh Hashanah. We're going to speak anything. Minimal, just what you need to Why? Because you're committed right now. You're completely focused. It's not about me and what I need and my talk and my fun. I'm saying Tillim, I'm davening, committed to Hashem. It's not a sadness. It's a solemnity. Very good. A solemnity. Being solemn. Put it in the comments if you know how I should be saying that word, and any other words that you find that are Yiddishized. Okay. V'hinei, Gilui b'chino zu v'ratzin zeh, the revelation of this level and this desire, whom is Gala b'Rosh Hashanah, gets revealed on Rosh Hashanah. Why specifically this day? Why not on Purim? Because Shu b'chinas reish v'galgalta dechafya almecha. As we explained, Rosh Hashanah is the level of a head and a skull which covers over the brain. The brain is representative of the flow of divine energy because it starts with Chachma. And there's a level that's beyond that. It's well beyond the dwelling place of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The Gam, Baseres, and also in the 10 days of Tshuva, which what happens during the 10 days of Tshuva? Each one of these days. We say the psalm, from the depths I call out to you, which expresses that we're turning to Hashem from a deep place, which is going to evoke a depth within Hashem. And therefore, sound in the month Shofar, meaning bring out sound. Pirush tiku, tkio kol pashat. What's the sound of a shofar? A shofar is not some kind of ornate, complex instrument. It's a very simple sound, which comes out of the ear of your heart, from the very internal level of your heart. That's what a shofar is. It's an expression, it's a cry of the heart. A person just calling out, right? Just calling to Hashem. That level is indicative of from deep down within yourself. from the depths of the heart. Which is from well greater than Chachma itself. How do you see that? I can't express it with my lips. There are certain levels, certain feelings that are so deep, it's not expressible in words. It's not because I don't know how to say it, it's not sayable. Okay? I can't verbalize it. It's an emotional thing. It's very, very deep. It's a cry of the heart. It's much greater than intellect. Why? Because speech, words, speaking, talking comes from wisdom, the level of chachma. That's why it says, listen in my voice, hear my voice. Pirush bikoili. What does it mean? Listen to my voice. But the word in Hebrew bikoili means in my voice. Masha b'toich koili. Listen to what's inside my voice. The inside, the internal of the heart. Which is the internals, the insides of the heart. What are we getting at? We explained there's two levels of desire. There's the external desire of the heart, and there's the internal desire of the heart. Obviously, the internal is much deeper. And what we're saying is that we will be reaching the inners of the heart. That's expressed by shofar. Blowing shofar is saying that there's something deep inside that's beyond chachma. It's not explainable because words are chachma. It's just a sound. It's a cry of the heart. But voice itself, that comes from the external part of the heart, which is lower than wisdom and understanding. So you have two parts. There are two levels. You have desire, which is external, and desire that's internal, and they're expressed differently. I can explain to you I want something. It's external. It's part. I want it.
What did you say was lower than words and intellect?
No, words and intellect are lower because they come from Chachma. Oh. And a cry is higher. Because a cry is, look at it this way, a child that's crying. They can't explain it. They don't even understand why. Right? It's not just because they don't know what words to use. They don't have the intellect to be able to explain it. That's crying in general. The shofar represents the call of the heart, which is a simple. It's not words. We don't say Hashem, we want you to be our king. We reference certain psukim in davening, but the actual call of the shofar, we don't all get together and someone shouts, "Who's going to be our king?" And we say, "You are." We don't none of that kind of stuff. Why? Because that's limited. That's all. It's a logical explanation that's expressible in words. It's not the inner depths of the heart. And if you're trying to evoke Hashem's desire, the innermost desire to create a world, which that's the level that we want to reach, then it's got to come from the depths of our heart, which is not going to be expressed by words. That's what it means in the month, which means a renewal of the worlds from nothing to something. Now, this energy of Hashem gets renewed every year on Rosh Hashanah, and the way that happens, it's through blowing shofar. Why? That's a flow, an internal flow. Eineg, delight, and the desire, supernal desire of Hashem. Which is well beyond the level of Chachma. Which gets revealed in the level of shofar. We said before that one of the definitions of what shofar means, the word shofar is shapru, which means to beautify. Literally beautify your actions, improve your actions, and so on. But the idea of shapru masechem is b'china shifra shemeshaferes esavlat. And the concept is that we're expressing our commitment to the Eibishter to do better. So what do we have so far? We have this idea that Rosh Hashanah is about evoking Hashem's desire to create a world, to sustain the world, to re-energize this world with a new chayas. The way that we get that, despite our past, is a potential past, which may not have been so good, is, or at least in one area, thought, speech, or action, is to recommit, but to call out from the depths of our heart that says, Eibishter, I want you. I want you to be our king. I'm committed to you. And when you have that level, it evokes from Hashem a desire. And that level is so deep, it's not explainable. You can't verbalize it in words, which is good news, because what this says is that disregarding what a person may have done, obviously you have to be sincere, and you have to decide not to do it again, and you should regret your past and so on. But the emphasis is going forward. The emphasis is today, tomorrow, future, is who is king, who's in charge here, who am I committed to? And the answer, of course, is Hashem. And when we have that commitment, Hashem says, great, if you're crowning me as king, I'll be your king. And with that, comes a lot of, obviously, all the sustaining the existence of the world, and a happy, healthy, sweet year, and being inscribed in the book of life, and so on and so forth. So, my friends, we're going to stop here, but thanks for watching, those that came in person, and those of you watching on YouTube or Facebook, please subscribe, like, share, and let me know any comments, questions. I'll try to address them. Have a wonderful day.